There's a cry in the heart of the church to come out from management back into the miraculous. Miracles are at the heart of the gospel. Yet the very first revival in the New Testament in a town called Sychar in Samaria happened with no recording of Jesus doing anything miraculous. Yet the miracle that had the greatest capacity to create a revival was the feeding of the 5,000. But instead of creating a revival, when Jesus symbolized the bread as his body, it created one of the great dispersions in the New Testament. Everybody scattered. But it's not really true. There was no manifestation of the power of God at Sychar with the woman at the well. Jesus knew something. He knew that she'd had 5 husbands already, and the man she was living with was her boyfriend, not a husband. It seems to me that in the Gospel of John, Jesus is presented as someone who knew things, who had a knowing outside of natural knowledge. When Jesus saw Nathanael under a tree, he knew something, that his heart was a heart without guile, without cynicism or sarcasm. When he met Nicodemus, he knew something. When he met the woman at the well, he knew something. When he met the man who had been at the pool of Bethesda for 38 years, Jesus already knew that. It might not be a huge demonstration of the creative, miraculous power of God, but it was still a demonstration of power. And that demonstration of power created the first revival in the New Testament. In the book of John, Jesus had 10 encounters with people that were incredibly meaningful. He had 4 words of knowledge with people that resulted in something extraordinary. There were 7 creative miracles outside of the resurrection. Out of the 7 creative miracles, at least 3 of them were non-essential miracles. Jesus didn't need to turn water into wine. They probably had enough to drink, but this was an opportunity to display the power of God in a family setting, and in so doing, it's symbolic of the wine of the Holy Spirit. Jesus didn't need to feed the 5,000. It was an unnecessary miracle just because they were hungry. Most people can live 40 days without food. This was a single day. When Jesus walked on the water, it was an unnecessary, a non-essential miracle. But there's a lot of miracles that Jesus wants to do within our hearts and within our lives that are non-essential. He doesn't just bring out the best of his supernatural to those who are in abject poverty. Back to moving in the Spirit of God. I'm amazed in the pool of Bethesda that Jesus selected just one person. Maybe it was that Jesus wasn't on earth to heal everybody. He told us a number of times that he was here to do what he sees the Father doing. I think we're coming out as a church from the catchphrase that all things are possible to a new catchphrase that will do what we see the Father doing. Instead of trying to be a living legend, that we'd slip back into the shadow of our Father and start to do what we see the Father doing. Sometimes God does his finest work in the midst of valleys, in the midst of hard. Inside your dungeon right now is a butler and a baker. That inside your difficulties is an opportunity to display the power of God. It's time for the miraculous. It's time for the miraculous. It's time for the miraculous.